Forget carrying a charger everywhere. OnePlus might have just made it optional. The upcoming OnePlus Ace 6 is packing a massive 7800 mAh battery. That's right, 7800. Bigger than anything OnePlus has ever put in a phone, even the upcoming OnePlus 15. This isn't just a bigger battery story, though. It's a signal of where OnePlus is heading, building phones that are unapologetically performance first, especially for power users and gamers who don't want to think about battery life or frame drops. The A6 is launching alongside the OnePlus 15 on October 27th, and while the flagship will grab the headlines, this sidekick might actually be the more interesting one, because it's not trying to be fancy, it's trying to be unstoppable. Let's start with that screen. The A6 is getting a flat OLED panel that can hit a refresh rate of 165 Hz. That's the kind of speed we normally see on gaming monitors, not smartphones. Sure, people love to argue that anything above 120 Hz is overkill. Your eyes can barely tell the difference, right? But OnePlus doesn't seem to care about that argument. This is a phone that's built to flex, to show that smoother can still get smoother. And if you don't need the full 165 Hz, you can scale it back to 144, 120, 90, or even 60 Hz to save power. Flexibility without compromise. Now, OnePlus is also giving the A6 a serious build upgrade. We're talking about a metal middle frame and an IP66, IP68, IP69, and even IP69K rating. That's not just splash resistant. That's blasted with a pressure washer, and it'll still survive tough. Basically, this phone's built like a tank, dust-proof, waterproof, and ready to handle whatever your day throws at it. And yes, there's an ultrasonic fingerprint sensor under the screen. Faster, more accurate, and better in all conditions than the usual optical ones. Again, it's a small touch, but it fits the theme. Durability meets speed. But let's circle back to that monster battery, 7800 mAh. That's bigger than what we've seen on most flagships in years, and it makes even the OnePlus 15's 7300 mAh cell look small. If you're tired of hitting 20% by the evening, this might be the phone you've been waiting for. And just because it's big doesn't mean it's slow to charge. OnePlus is expected to include 120-watt fast charging. No wireless charging this time, though. That's reserved for the more premium OnePlus 15. Still, when you can go from nearly empty to almost full in under half an hour, it's hard to complain. Under the hood, the A6 is expected to run on Qualcomm's Snapdragon 8 Elite chip, the same powerhouse driving other late 2025 flagships. Combine that with up to 16 gigabytes of RAM and 1 terabyte of storage, and you've got a phone that's ready to handle anything: gaming, multitasking, editing, you name it. On the software side, it'll ship with ColorOS 16 on top of Android 16. So expect refined performance and smoother animations with all the customization OnePlus fans love. Cameras, though, are not the main story here. You're getting a 50-megapixel main sensor, an 8-megapixel secondary, and a 16-megapixel front camera. Good enough for everyday shots and social media, but if you're a camera enthusiast chasing flagship-level photography, this probably isn't your match. The A6 is more about power and endurance than perfect portraits. Design-wise, leaks show 3 color options: white, silver, and black, all clean, minimal, and in line with the OnePlus aesthetic. And if you're outside China, don't worry. A global version of this phone might show up soon as the OnePlus 15R. What's really interesting here is what the A6 says about where the smartphone market is heading. For years, we've seen brands competing on camera tricks, AI features, or fancy materials. But battery life and raw performance, those were often afterthoughts. OnePlus seems to be bringing that back to the front. This is a phone for people who actually use their phones hard: gamers, heavy multitaskers, travelers, or just anyone who hates seeing that low battery warning halfway through the day. The A6 doesn't pretend to be everything for everyone. It's focused, built to last, built to perform, and built to run all day and then some. And that's what makes it exciting. Because sometimes the best phones aren't the ones chasing the flashiest features, they're the ones that simply refuse to die. So yes, the OnePlus 15 might be the star of the show on October 27th, but the A6 is quietly shaping up to be the workhorse that steals the spotlight once the reviews roll in. A 7800 mAh battery, 165 Hz OLED, Snapdragon 8 Elite power, 120-watt charging, and a design that can survive a storm. It's the kind of phone that doesn't just compete, it endures. And if that's the direction OnePlus is taking next year, focusing on power, battery, and durability, It's a good sign for anyone who's been waiting for smartphones that can actually keep up with how we use them. Because at this point, the only thing that might need a recharge is the competition. What's your thoughts on this? Let me know in the comments section. See you in the next video. Take care.